Thank you, Dale. Bethany Bistu, Executive Director of the State Soil and Water Committee.
Melissa Gordon, Administrative Assistant.
Darren Hickling, voting member.
Scott Ryan, NYSCD voting member.
Ben Loskin, Region 5 AEA.
Abigail Edwards, Policy Fellow of the State Committee.
Brian Steinmiller, Assistant Director for Land and Water Resources.
Jennifer Clifford, CRF Program Manager.
Morgan Tarbell, New York State Department of Health, Bureau of Water Supply Protection, Advisory Member.
Okay, so then we'll move to a roll call of, let's see, other staff and advisory members. So real quick, I'll just do the remaining state committee staff. Ryan Cunningham. Tim Clark.
Yep. Hello, everybody. This is Tim Clark. I'm the engineer for the state committee.
A couple inches away.
Scott Fickbaum. Victor DiGiacomo. Lauren Przorski. And Tyler Knapp. All right. Moving on to advisory members. Ag and Markets.
Good morning. This is Jeff Keogh.
Good morning. How about Cornell Cooperative Extension? Cornell CALS.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Rahm from New York State Water Resources Institute and Cornell CALS.
Good morning. Conservation District Employees Association.
Hi, Alice Halloran here today representing.
Good morning, Alice. DEC. How about Department of State?
Hi, this is Stephanie Wojtowicz, Director of the Division of Planning here at Department of State Office of Planning Development and Community Infrastructure. And I think Kate is on the line also.
Kate Black, Office of Planning Development, Community Infrastructure, Coastal Resource Specialist.
Good morning. SUNY ESF. And USDA NRCS.
Hi, Paula Bagley is on, representing NRCS. I'm the State Conservation Engineer.
Good morning, Paula. And just want to say welcome and good morning to any and all conservation districts that are on the line or other partners and attendees that have called in today for our State Soil and Water Conservation Committee. Please feel free to put your name and affiliation in the chat. Thank you, Dale. Did we lose Syracuse?
No, we're here. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Bethany. Review and approve minutes. Any additions, corrections, changes, anyone? Motion to approve, please. Second, please.
Second.
Go to voting. Dave? Yeah. Erica?
Aye.
Scott?
Hi.
Darren?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Any correspondence, Bethany?
I did want to mention today that early last week, I received a final draft of the four-way partnership MOU that is between the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee, the New York Association of Conservation Districts, the Conservation District Employees Association, and the Natural Resources Conservation Service. We are circulating this document, the final version of the document internally, and reviewing it, as well as getting some input from our department council, and we'll be presenting it for signature at a future state committee meeting. That is the only correspondence we have received this month.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is a non-point source. Bethany?
Thank you. So Melissa, if you would pull up that last one, you got it. So Tyler is not with us today. He is attending the Leadership Institute. So I will be sharing the Ag Non-Point Source Program update for everyone. What you're seeing on the screen is the program dashboard that Tyler was able to put together before heading off to training. The most notable item on this report that I wanted to highlight is that we are continuing to get executed contracts for round 28 projects. Those are moving along steadily, and we are hoping to have those all wrapped up as soon as possible. Closeouts are also coming in, and again, we're working on getting those reviewed and off this list. We have been in contact with the one district that does have the round 21 project that is still out there. They are working on the closeout for that contract, and we'll have it in as soon as they can. Are there any questions out there on the program update or the program status report? Hearing none, I will give the committee a brief update on round 29. So the RFP solicitation closed on June 26th, and in response to round 29, we received 96 applications. The total funding request that was included in all of those applications equaled approximately $58 million, with of that, approximately $39 million is being requested from the state. As a reminder, through round 29 in the RFP, $13.5 million was made available to support projects. The 96 applications included projects for 189 farms. Of those farms, 52 of them are CAFO operations. 46 of the farms included in the applications are applying for cover crops. That is a 3 times higher than what we received in round 28. So I thought that was a really impressive stat to share with the group. Those 46 farms are applying to implement just shy of 25,000 acres of cover crops. 26 covered heavy use areas are being proposed, as well as 69 waste storages are included in the applications. And we received applications from 61 farms that have indicated they will be applying for or applying to implement riparian buffers. Of those, we are seeing an approximate total of 18 acres of riparian forest buffers and 82 acres of riparian herbaceous buffers. All of the applications were screened internally for eligibility and completeness, and fortunately, they were all determined to be eligible to be passed on to the reviewing panel to be scored and ranked. Last week, I conducted a pre-review meeting with all of the scoring agencies and have passed on the applications to them. Their reviewing and their scoring has begun. There is a deadline for scores to be returned back to me at the end of August. I believe it's August 29th, right, Morgan? And, after that time, we will conduct a post-review meeting to discuss the rounds and any applications as necessary. And we are hopeful to be able to have a ranked list to bring to the state committee in September. Any questions?
Yeah, can you repeat the total number of applications and how many manure storages and the cover crop acres?
Yeah, so we received a total of 96 applications. 69 waste storages are being proposed. And 46 farms are applying to implement cover crops for a total of just shy of 25,000 acres.
One more question, do you know if the cover crop projects are mostly cover crops or are those combined with other?
That's a good question, I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. There were, from entering stuff into this spreadsheet, there were a number of soil health projects that were focused just on cover crop.
Cool.
But I don't know if that's the majority or not. I also, seeing that number of waste storages that are being proposed, I would like to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the applications to see if any of those are, or any of those applications indicate if those waste storages are being built such that they can be retrofit with a cover, or if they include covers. I don't know that, but I would like to take a look at that a little bit more as well.
We think too, Bethany, if any are the new short-term collection and transfer system too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Systems that already have some kind of methane mitigation in mind or lower methane emissions. Well, if I were in a hat, I'd say hats off to conservation districts and farmers. That's a huge round.
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing. Considerable momentum continues to build.
Yeah, and comparatively to round 28, that's just an increase in general in applications. And I think last round we had 80, we received 80 applications. So, just the number of applications has increased and gone back up. So more to come on round 29. Before I dig into the one amendment that was submitted, are there any other questions on round 29 or ag non-point source in general?
Could you repeat the riparian buffer portion, please?
Yeah, sure. So, okay, we had 61 farms indicate that they would be implementing riparian buffers. Of those projects, approximately 18 acres of riparian forest buffers are being proposed and 82 acres of riparian herbaceous buffers are being proposed.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Excuse me. Can you tell me how many again passed the first round of reviews?
Yeah, so we received 96 applications in total, and all of them were considered to be eligible for scoring. So they have all been passed along to the reviewers.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bethany, are there any that, we're missing some piece of information that had to be submitted later with a point reduction?
Yes, so part of our internal review process is to make sure that all the applications are complete, and which means that they all have included all of the necessary components as required for the RFP. We had to reach out to a couple of districts for clarification on a couple of items, which did not result in any penalty points. But there was there were two applications that were found to be missing a required document. And so we had to send a notification to the sponsoring district for those applications. That district was provided 5 business days to respond. They did so in that amount of time. So those applications are, considered eligible to be scored, but will be assessed a 5-point penalty. And there were 2 of those.
That number's going down too.
Yes, at which, it stinks. It's the worst, one of the worst feelings to have to assess a penalty point on an application, but yeah, to have to do that only on 2, I guess, is a really positive thing. Any other questions on round 29?
Yes, any ballpark time frame that we will know when our applications have either been accepted or rejected again?
If you haven't heard anything by now, then it has been moved on to the reviewing panel, meaning it's been accepted. The reviewers are currently reviewing and scoring the applications, and we hope to have the ranked list developed and presented to the state committee in September for approval. If we're able to meet that deadline and the ranked list gets approved in September, we should be able to make awards sometime after that.
Thank you.
Which at that point, then your district, if it was successful, will receive an award letter. If your application didn't fall within the funding range, then we do issue non-award letters at that time. So you will know whether or not the applications receive funding.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so I did receive one time extension request for an ag non-point source contract. You want to scroll down just a little bit? Thank you. Melissa is sharing on the screen the request that was submitted by Onondaga County for a round 24 project. The current end date was March 1st of 2023, and they are looking to extend this contract to December 31st of 2023. The reason for the request is cited on the screen, and this request and the supporting documents have been reviewed by PJ Emmerich. The request is also supported by PJ, but referred to the state committee. PJ, do you have any additional information you want to add in there?
Nothing at this time. I think the description lays it out very nicely. They just need a little bit of time, and they are confident that with the extension, they should be able to get it done.
Questions, anyone, or comments? Motion to approve, please. So moved. Second, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll go to voting. Dave? Aye. Erica?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much. Anything else on point source, Bethany?
Nope, I'm all set for today.
Thank you. Next is CRF, Jennifer.
So for climate resilient farming, around 6 contracts are being approved internally and starting to move forward through the process. So districts will be starting to see those for signature in the coming weeks. Round 7 RFP is open and closes August 7th. And let's see, this is on the screen is Tyler's update on our CRF program stats. I do not have any amendments this month. So, yeah, we do have for round 6, we do have more than one contract that is now active, where they're more moving forward, so that's really good news. And but yeah, that's about it. I will provide just a brief update on our climate smart commodities grant with USDA. We are working with partners to submit our first quarterly report and our measurement, monitoring, reporting and verification plan to USDA. So we're just trying to work on the logistics of MMRV, outreach with partners, and the logistics of the data that will be required of us to collect, and starting to work on some drafts for the pilots that we'll be developing for methane data collection and feed management tool usage. And then also working on CRF Round 8 RFP, where we'll be incorporating some of those climate smart commodities federal funding into that round. So lots to come on that, just starting to kind of get some logistics going on that, so more information to come next meeting in September. So that's really it, unless there are any questions. Oh, I'll provide one more. Our Cornell Soil Health team has recently acquired a trailer for outreach and education purposes, and they're going to be adding our state committee logo and AGM logo because we help provide funding to support their efforts and the education that will occur with that trailer. So we'll get recognition with that. So I'll have pictures to share once that's complete.
Fair to say, Jennifer, that trailer might seem familiar to folks. It had a sort of a pasture focus back in the day, but it was a general soil health trailer that had a large, kind of table size demo, as well as a set of a rainfall simulator, as well as some tabletop. Not bad anchor for a field day, station for a field day.
Yeah, yep, very, very true. Thank you, Greg. Yes.
Get that moving around the state at district events.
Anything else?
Yes. Is going back to the trailer, so they're gonna be using that to travel all over the
Yeah, a lot of the
state?
workshops that they've been doing have been at different farms across the state, and they'll be incorporating that trailer into some of those trainings that they're doing.
Further questions, anyone? Thanks, John. Next on the agenda is AEM with Greg.
TJ, you want to pull up that PowerPoint presentation and then share.
Turn this for a second. Hopefully they can.
Gotta hit escape, then do share down at the bottom. Yep, there it is. There it is. Yep. Then presentation. Does that show up as a big view for Albany?
Yes, looks good.
Great, excellent. All right, so thank you. This is another presentation about the AIM-based program round 18 development. And this is a follow-up from several discussions that have happened over the last few months to develop our next version of the AIM-based program. And that, of course, starts with being very diligent about listening and gathering input from districts, as well as all of us on the state committee staff in operating the program and keeping those notes in the margin and then using those notes to build in a better version the next time around. And so we started with that and then had good discussions with the state committee's TAC, and then good discussions at all 5 of the managers' meetings and the state committee back in June, collected input from that, and then put that together in a final draft here before the state committee to consider for a vote for its approval of the framework for AIM-18. So given that we've kind of gone through the basics with many on the phone, we'll show that's the document, that's the formal document that provides the guidelines for the AIM-based program, this time round 18 that the state committee is considering for approval. I'm just going to focus on a couple overview slides here and not go through the same material that we've done several times. So based on all of those meetings and that input, there have been some modest changes from the draft that was put forward to everybody for those meetings. And, that's kind of, I think, an indication that we're, kind of getting up on plane with this program. Because I remember when we did this in AIM-16 and to a certain degree in AIM-17, when we put our best idea out as a first cut and then got feedback, there were some pretty significant and for the better changes. And the changes here so far for AIM-18 are a little more mild. So you can see the basic framework of it. That's still the same: non-competitive state level funding for 2 tracks, technical assistance and Tier 4 cost share implementation. In the technical assistance track, you probably remember from our discussions over the last couple of months, we've significantly increased the funding to support technical assistance over 2 years with districts working through the AIM tiers with farms. And notably, I'll pin this on me. I finally got my act together alphabetically, and we're deciding to revise the way we have the options. So I'll say this for the first time in public here, and then we'll certainly be clear about it when we roll this out once it's out there for districts for play in September. Option A is still option A. Option B now is actually the middle incremental option toward the highest. And that's where a district has a full-time CCA, NRCS planner, or technical service provider with at least one planning type. And then option C is the highest level now. So that's a change from the last month or so. Just so it's clear. Almost at every manager's meeting, someone asks me this question, usually a new manager: "Hey, Greg, how come it goes ACD?" And I was like, well, it's, important reasons, right? And I looked into how, thank you, Alice. I looked into how much of a change that would be with all of our program documentation, and it wasn't much. And so we'll just be sure to be very clear about that in the rollout. And if anybody submits the wrong one, that's okay. We'll fix it and do the right one. Option C is the highest level, and of course, you recall we're considering it, or we are proposing to expand that from an AIM certified planner to also include Society of American Foresters, Certified Forester, and Engineer in Training in New York, or PE in New York for that highest level. Sticking with updates from the last time in the technical assistance track, based on some really good comments, we included 2 more tests or analyses packages in there, and they focus on nutrient management, and they're the things called the PSNT and the CSNT. And they help with dialing in nitrogen management, particularly in corn, but can be used in other row crops too. We are not at this point folding in water quality analysis packages or forage testing packages. And that's just because I think we need to live and learn a little more. And there are the variety of those analysis packages that would be needed for the different things that the districts do across the state is quite broad, and it's tough to shoehorn into a simple flat rate approach like we're taking in a base year. So we haven't shut the door on that for future rounds, and it's definitely in the margin for future rounds, but just didn't get to pull that off for this round due to their complexities. But certainly districts with the skills where it's relevant for that AIM planning work, right, can still supply the labor to take that sample, right? So the farmer doesn't have to do it. And then the farmer can just pay for the analysis, or you can use another batch of funds to pay for the analysis. So you still got options, right? We're not prohibiting the pull of those samples. It's just the funding for the analysis package. Everything else has stayed as written there in the technical assistance track, as well as on the Tier 4 cost share track. So everybody seemed, there was decent consensus that, yeah, we can do more with Tier 4, with a higher Tier 4 budget of 200,000, and we could do more and have more flexibility with the range of practices if we didn't have a per farm cap for the 2-year program. And so that still remains at $200,000 as a cap, and at the local decision-making process to gauge how that gets used. And that's still with all the sideboards of hey, this is a 2-year start and finish program, really functionally 18 months. So we're looking for projects that the farmer is committed to, has their part of the finances ready for, are emerging from as a priority practice from a Tier 3 or equivalent plan. So addressing resource concerns across our suite of resources, right? Soil, water, air, adaptation, and can be justified using local processes as a priority to award locally. So same kind of concepts that we started with back in AIM 16, just higher capacity now. Any questions on the framework of it, or the updates that we made since we did our roadshow with it through May and June? PJ also has the actual Word document up if you want to dig into anything with that. It's not too late. I want to, so if you have questions, please interrupt me. And I just wanted to kind of share some next steps. So we've gone through the first 2 bullets there with really good discussions with dozens and dozens and dozens of people, and we really appreciate your input. We're now talking about it at the July State Committee meeting, and pending approval, the next steps are our internal Ag and Markets fiscal and council review, And then with a goal of having everything finalized so that we can roll it out and present it to districts in September with, then this is pretty conventional in what you've become used to with this new 2-year approach to AIM-based. The AIM action plans due on November 1st. And then the program actually starts on January 1st. You start counting hours toward it and so on. Tier 4 cost share track implementation project packages, the details of those don't have to be due on November 1st, but rather 6 months later on May 1st of the program year 2024. And then it's a 2-year program, so it wraps up at the end of 2025. So that's the view forward. And that's the basic bones of it. And we really appreciate everybody's diligence toward implementing it, managing it on the state committee staff from a program level, and all of your ideas to help make it better. And your district performance in it and state committee staff performance in it in running a tight ship with it so that, we have the opportunity to increase funding. It's a good position when CRF at now points or main base, we keep delivering with it. So therefore we justify funds and increase funds for those programs. So.
Questions for Greg, anyone?
We're a little at a time, so we can go places and open up the Word document if anybody wants, and we can also move forward.
Greg, I have a question. So this is a draft, but is it approved yet? This is Jake from Ulster County.
Today. That's why we're here today, Jake. I did not pay Jake for that.
Further questions?
No, but is it I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Is it approved by the state already?
We're requesting its approval today from the state committee.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So in the minutes, you will see the draft that's approved. I will say the way this works is then, our attorneys look at it, and sometimes there's some verbiage changes or, a dollar amount might change for a testing package or something like that, just to get it right. But the framework and the priorities and the core concepts and dates all stay the same. So.
If no further questions, could I get a motion to approve AIM base year 18 program?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Go to voting. Dave.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Karen.
Aye.
Thank you very much. It is approved.
Thank you, Dale. State committee.
Next on our agenda is strategic plan update with Bethany.
All right, so share, and then we're gonna go to. Bear with us just 1 second, and we're pulling up the slides. There you go. All right, and we can hit the little presenter thing. Okay, so just to test folks in Syracuse or anyone on the line, hopefully you're seeing my cover slide. Okay?
We are.
All right. Thank you very much. So I wanted to take a little bit of time today to provide an update to the committee and others on where we are with the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee strategic plan update. Next slide, please. Yes, ma'am. Really quick, I guess reminder to anyone on the line, the State Soil and Water Conservation Committee operates following a strategic plan that establishes a mission statement for the state committee. It also identifies values and a vision for the future and defines broad strategic goals and objectives that will ultimately help the state committee meet those goals. The current strategic plan is available on the department website. Certainly, I'm also happy to email that to anyone if you want to review it. But our current strategic plan is set to expire at the end of this year. So we have embarked on a project to update that plan and get it ready to start, I guess, in the beginning of 2024. So back in March, I shared a tentative timeline with the committee on, that set various different benchmarks that I was hoping, we could meet while we are working through updating the plan and getting it ready for the end of the year. So I wanted to just kind of update the group on where we're at today. The previous, my initial timeline established that in April of this year, we would send out a survey to districts to gather feedback from them on how, the state committee has done in implementing the current strategic plan, as well as to gather feedback on, what should be incorporated into a future version of the strategic plan. Unfortunately, we didn't get it out in April, but we were able to send the survey out to districts in May, so not too far delayed. And we received feedback from districts and took that feedback and dove in a little bit deeper with districts at each regional managers meeting that took place in June. So for a week in June, we kind of traveled around to different regions of the state and met with smaller groups of district managers or district employees. And part of the agenda that was implemented at those meetings allowed for time to dig into a couple of specific questions that were asked in that strategic plan survey. So we were able to gather more feedback, more refined feedback, and additional comments and input from districts, on the survey. So now I guess we're heading out of July and heading into August, we're going to begin drafting updates to the strategic plan, which is kind of starting today. And into the fall, once we get a better handle on the updates, the draft updates, then we'll be hosting some advisory member meetings and, ending the year with, discussing the proposed changes with this committee and, ultimately getting approval so we can put the strategic plan in place in January of 2024. Next slide, please. So I wanted to provide an overview to the committee today on how the strategic plan survey went, I guess. So we sent it out in May, and we received 40 responses, mainly from district managers, but we also got responses from other district staff and district board members. Questions were included in the survey that asked for feedback on the state committee's current mission statement. We also asked questions on how well districts thought the state committee has fulfilled that mission. There were many, many questions and opportunities for districts to provide feedback on the current strategic plan goals, as well as an opportunity for them to provide input on future strategic directions. So what I've attempted to do on this slide, the feedback that we got from districts was incredible, and we received so many insightful comments that it was a bit of a challenge to try to summarize the overall main points of interest or main points of focus. Coupling that with all the great feedback that we got from the district managers meetings, I've summarized some of the main points, but certainly I want to recognize that this is, there was a lot of feedback that we received. But mainly, most of the information and the feedback that we got from districts, focused on providing more training opportunities to districts. And this could include, creating and developing various training modules, hosting various different group training events. There was a lot of great discussion about, providing training that's focused on newer employees that are just coming on with the district. In concert with that, there was some great feedback on the need to support, the need for the state committee to support the facilitation and sharing of resources and skills amongst districts. There's also a need to provide or continued support for more support and continued support for district administration. There's a side of the district shops that are very focused on keeping that district operating and running, and we should be offering some more support to those folks so they can be successful in their positions. There's also a need for the state committee to assist with education and outreach, specifically continuing to get the word out there to the community, counties, and the community, the broad community, on what districts are, who they are, what they do, and the support that they can offer and the service that they can offer to the citizens of their county. There was a lot of great feedback on the need for additional financial support to support staff, as well as engineering services and financial support for non-agricultural programs. We have a lot of financial assistance programs that are able to provide cost share assistance to the agricultural side of things, but districts also are tasked with addressing non-agricultural issues in their county. So more support for those types of programs is needed out there. And then districts have indicated that the state committee should continue to provide consistent and ample district aid. And I think everyone, can agree on that. And when you look back to the approved EPF budget that came out at the beginning of May, I think that support is continuing and is increasing because the district aid line item, received a pretty substantial increase for this year's EPF budget. So one item that, one particular question of the survey that I wanted to highlight today, because it plays into what I want to get feedback from the committee on, is the question that came kind of at the end of the survey that asked districts to identify what strategic directions they feel that they themselves, the district and the state committee, should be advancing over the next 5 years. And we asked districts to identify their top 5 answers, and the number 1 response was flood and stream bank mitigation, restoration, and stabilization, which kind of goes hand in hand with all of the great feedback we got on additional support for non-ag programs. The number 2 response was to increase communication and coordination with districts. The 3rd most popular response was to focus on technology advancements to facilitate conservation work. Number 4 was to enhance quantification of environmental benefits. And number 5 was to enhance community outreach and education. So what I am hoping to, I guess, start the update of the actual strategic plan, I wanted to focus on the strategic goals section specifically and focus on that first because that is and makes up a pretty significant portion of the state committee strategic plan. Currently, we have the plan is kind of laid out, as you see on the screen. There's an introduction section that also goes into a little bit of history of the state committee. We have our mission statement of values, a number of different visions for the future, and then the plan goes into the various different strategic goals. And, based on all the feedback that we got from the survey and the managers' meetings, I thought a good place to start would be the strategic goals section. So in the current version of the plan, it includes 3 broad strategic goals. The first is conservation districts, operations, technical services, and program delivery. Within that strategic goal, there are 2 sub-goals, I guess, that kind of fit within that category. Each of those have identified objectives that are indicated to help us achieve that goal. Second goal is comprehensive natural resources management. That also includes a number of different subcategories within there. And then the third is cooperative conservation. So what I would like to propose for the 2024-2029 strategic plan, I would like to propose to break those categories out a little bit into 5 smaller, more targeted strategic goals. So I'm not proposing necessarily to add or remove any of the strategic goals from the current plan. Rather, I'd like to kind of break them down and to be a little bit more focused. So the first strategic goal I would like to propose is conservation district operations and technical services. This goal would be focused specifically in those areas, supporting district operations, supporting district staff recruitment and retention, and providing the necessary technical services to help them in those efforts. The second would be public relations and outreach. And the titles of these strategic goals, we can massage a little bit as well. But in this particular goal, I wanted to be able to focus on that education and outreach piece and the need that was described by districts, so we can continue to emphasize the great work that the districts are doing and get the word out there about who they are, what they do, and all that good stuff. The third strategic goal would be focused on data management, quantification, modeling, and reporting. Not only was it identified through the survey as a need for districts to have those types of technological tools to help them do their job, but being able to quantify our program accomplishments and the actual work that's being implemented out there is going to be critical, as we are reporting on certain things and trying to calculate and determine our impacts that will ultimately come back and play into the state's goals and initiatives. The fourth strategic goal remains the same. It's largely remains the same and would focus on comprehensive natural resources management, but would also take in the program delivery piece that was previously lumped in with the district operations goal. And the last strategic goal is cooperative conservation. This is something that was in the previous versions of the strategic plan, and I feel is important to remain and in this version of the strategic plan and be a focus for the group. within that goal, we can work on not only increasing the cooperative conservation between districts and other partners, but we can use that goal as an opportunity to focus on increasing our communication and coordination with districts in support of a stronger partnership. Yes, Brian?
On the Comprehensive Natural Resource Management Program delivery, AEM is a heading. Are you thinking of AEM as an umbrella that would encompass the goals specific to Ag Point and CRF there?
I hadn't really gotten that far, but I think, yes, that does make
Yeah.
sense because AEM, like we say, is an umbrella program and it is a requirement of all of those particular cost share programs. So I think it makes sense for those programs to kind of be lumped in with that.
I mean, you could also do AIM is the planning process and add a bullet for funding opportunities that encompasses all those other CRF, Ag Point Source, and then anything else that comes and goes like the CAFO. You could do a couple of those.
Is there any thoughts on, I guess in general, just the proposed idea to kind of break out the previous 3 goals into 5 smaller strategic goals?
Hey Bethany, this is Brian from Cornell. I'm just wondering could you give an example of like a metric that you would potentially go for and under the cooperative conservation goal?
It's all about partnerships,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
you'd be looking at, building new partnerships, restoring existing partnerships. You kind of build stuff around partners, I guess.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that, because that is really the focus of that particular goal, is to just encourage partnerships among districts and, the various other partner agencies that are working within their county and within the state. A specific metric, I guess off the top of my head, I don't have an example,
Talked
but
about one earlier today, like updating the MOU, the 4-way partnership.
Yeah.
And I know that's not encompassing of all the advisory members of the partners that are out there, but that's one tangible agreement among the 4-way partnership that we, can continue to review, evaluate, and maintain so that there's no lapse.
Yeah.
Like there has been. So that's one potential metric right there.
Yeah.
Maybe even
absolutely.
evaluating current advisory members. Are there, or do we have gaps in, even TAP, like are there gaps that, are there partners that we should be bringing in or, working with that we're not, or?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and I don't, not meant to be like a criticism necessarily, but just setting up goals that, you're well placed to demonstrate achievement of, given all the work that you guys do, so.
Yeah, and I'll admit, Brian, that last one, is challenging, right? To actually establish specific metrics. And, it's a reflection of the makeup of the state committee, for sure. Various state agencies that we work with and making sure that there's acknowledgement of and, support for conservation districts and conservation work in general, right? So, another thing that we've looked at over the years is how many districts are applying for WQIP and becoming really central to that particular program as they are to the specific dedicated programs that we have to offer. So that's yet another example. I think there are so many more out there that we can explore. It's exciting.
But that is a really good comment to keep in mind. We have set goals that are achievable and measurable. So I appreciate that. Sorry, I interrupted someone.
I'm wondering if I'd like everybody's opinion on this. On the 5 bullet points of AEM, ecosystems, and emergency, should we add another one saying due to the Climate Act is going to be due first level in 2030, which is 1 year after this? Do we need something in in that stating about working toward that goal over this 5-year period? That's another bullet point there. It's in the programs, but it's a specific thing that we have to meet in 2030. And if this is going to be the biggest 5-year window to getting there. And what everybody else
Darren's nodding his head. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just wondering if it should be its own bullet point rather than under, because a lot of these things help.
They help contribute to that goal.
Right. I don't know. I mean, your bullet points, I like breaking them out because they kind of hit all the 5 major things that, in your survey. But like you said, that's kind of a major thing that we're, not to just keep adding bullet points, but it is kind of a major goal that we have to work towards. I'm just not, yeah. But I agree, it should be in there somewhere.
Somewhere in it.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily as a goal, but part of the scope.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if it was part of the vision in the beginning or something, because there's a vision for the future.
Yeah.
It probably fits into this bullet point with the sub-bullet points, but it's certainly going to be part of the whole thinking across all of the work in some way.
Right.
There's a lot of content available on that too.
Yes.
Right? A lot of work went into the ag and forestry chapters and scoping plan, specifically related to stormwater committee and stormwater district programming. So.
And I just want to say too, it's nice to see, Bethany, that you broke it down for the natural resources management to see ecosystem-based management and watershed and stormwater. My master's is in ecosystem science, actually, so it's very nice to see that all being cohesive together in a plan for this.
Thank you. I can't take credit for that. That is a carryover from the current strategic plan. So, but I think I agree. I like how it's kind of broken out, and
Especially for the climate goals.
yeah. So I guess just thinking more about the climate goals. I think I like the idea of maybe including it more in the, like Erica suggested, in as a vision for the future, because each one of these bullets could include, objectives that are a bit, targeted towards, achieving that goal. So I don't know, maybe, and just kind of thinking about working on the drafts, that might be, if we set it kind of up front, as a vision for the next 5 years, then we can work in various different objectives to basically, we can work them into any of the strategic goals or all of them, elements that would help achieve that.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Yeah, and it will fit into the other major 5 categories too, right? It makes sense to have it overarching.
Yeah, I guess we're going to stop sharing just for a second because there was a couple chats that came in.
Look at those two.
I want to make sure.
I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you want to? Can you share that back? Yeah, I
So
can.
Brian's asking if we can plan to share the slides or at least the survey results.
Yeah, I think so.
Generally, would append those to the minutes if
Yep.
it's most appropriate. Alice is asking, increasing the percentage of grant utilizing other cost share programs as match would be measurable. So looking at how districts are matching various programs, that's a measurable result of, could be, cooperating with other programs and partnerships, potentially. And Karina's got an idea of, making sure that there's a sentence that includes the elements of work to achieve the goals of the CLCPA.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and we'll make sure to save that chat so I have those.
Yeah, those are good comments. Thank you for all.
Appreciate everybody.
Bethany, did you want a motion today or just general consensus to work on this structure?
Well, being that I'm not entirely sure, is a motion required, or,
Not required, but
ultimately,
helpful.
consensus would be helpful and would help in our moving forward direction.
It's up to the chair. If the chair wants to ask for a motion to accept, I think that would be appropriate as well, but I think there's a lot of good feedback offered already on this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted it today or not, but if you want a motion that we accept the proposed strategic goals, that'd be fine.
Yes, because then we can start working more internally to start proposing some drafts, updates, and then, we can keep moving along in the process. That would be appreciated.
Any further discussion or questions on the proposed strategic goals, anyone? Motion to approve them, please. We have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
Moved in second and we'll go to voting. Dave? Erica?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all, and more to come, and I appreciate all the feedback and the discussion.
Bethany, so will this change the mission statement as well, or should it,
I think that
or just the
will be
vision statement?
determined. I don't think it should, but I thought it would be good to work on the goals first, and then, if in drafting the goals, we felt that the mission needed to be updated in some way, then we could do that based on what the strategic goals are. Largely, like, feedback from the survey was, all positive. The districts that responded were in continued support of the current mission. There was one comment that suggested that we, add an emphasis on supporting the partnership with soil and water conservation districts, which right now our current mission is to advance comprehensive natural resources management through the support of local soil and water conservation districts. So I think the suggestion, the one comment we did have was to include something within that statement to further emphasize a district partnership with the state committee.
Like through the support of and partnership with conservation.
Yeah, something to that effect. But, based off of the feedback that we got from districts through the survey, I think by and large, folks think that the current mission statement is appropriate, and but certainly we can update it as if it's appropriate to do so after working on the rest of the plan.
It's almost like writing the book first and then coming up with your title when it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have it in front of you? Can you read it once?
The mission statement?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry. That was it?
That was it. Maybe not
We worked
word
very
for
hard
word,
on
but pretty
simplifying
close.
one page long down to something.
I will read it. I do have it. It's right here. The mission of the New York State Soil and Water Conservation Committee is to advance comprehensive natural resources management through the support of local soil and water conservation districts. That's what it is currently.
We should start every committee meeting with that.
It's in the pledge allegiance.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, get everyone in a good headspace, you know, to keep that in mind as we're going through.
TJ, I'll have to change his tattoo if we change it, so.
I like it. I mean, I think this is the same. I think this is mission statement is pretty good.
Yeah, see, you've been around long enough like me to know that, you know, we had very long and exhaustive mission statements and we really try to boil it down to its core points. Last couple of strategic plan timeframes.
Thank you.
Anything else on the strategic plan?
That is all from me. You're just.
All right. Next on our agenda is voting advisory staff report. Anything to add?
Thanks, Dale. Just a couple of board meetings scheduled, a few board trainings recently, working on getting some grant closeouts done. We did a partial closeout the other day for a grant, so that was kind of nice to see that. Haven't done one of those in a long time. So other than that, pretty much standard operating procedures. Lots of stuff moving forward as far as Finger Lakes round 2 cover crop implementation goes for the districts in the Finger Lakes region. We have a claim for payment in for 90% of the funding, and we're ready to move forward once the funding is received by Yates County. So other than that, I think that's all I have to report at this time.
I just want to say congratulations to Dave, the Jefferson County District, and to Justin Bach for taking an AIM certified planner position at the Jefferson Soil and Water. So it's been a real honor to meet with you and work up through the certification process in the private sector, and I know you'll do great things at the Jefferson District. So thank you. Congrats.
Yeah, congrats. Anything else?
Yes, planning department, Ron and myself, just finished up, a review on a planner second plan, was an organic dairy, and we've begun another one. And then we are gearing up for Skills, where the planning department will take part in quite a few trainings there, so, look for those. As well as we had talked about doing a fertilizer training. Not sure when that's going to take shape, but if you have suggestions for what the districts would like covered, please reach out to Ron and myself. No thanks. I'll second.
Erica? Anything to report?
I don't have anything on my end. Thanks, Dan.
Turn it over to you, Bethany.
Thank you, Dale. I think I will defer at this time. I'll come back if I have something, Melissa. I'm good, thank you.
I think I'm all set.
I don't think I have anything else.
Region 5 downstate, kind of business as usual, a lot of meetings lately, a lot of trainings, including district law, site visits for AAM and Ag Mountain Point Source. Some turnover at the districts, lost a few people over the last couple of months, but a lot of those districts have hired folks back, which is good to see. Suffolk County, I think, is back up to full staff, which they haven't been there in 3 years or so. So that's good that they'll have a full staff on again. Other than that, working through a few things for state aid for next year. We are looking at having the state aid meeting in August, and I hope to have that announcement out by the end of the week. So, that's it.
Any report for you?
Nothing at this time.
I don't have anything additional.
For Morgan, for New York State DOH, I don't have anything, just, we got the grants and we're getting to town on them.
We appreciate your continued participation in that.
Paul, I don't know if you have anything.
Nope, nothing.
All right.
Okay, so I'll go, real quick, folks on the line. We'll do state committee staff. Tim Clark, do you have anything to report?
No, I'm all set. Thanks so much.
Thank you. How about ag and markets? Jeff Kehoe.
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Cornell Cows. Brian Rom. Okay. Maybe we'll come back to Brian. How about CDEA? Alice?
Hi, yes, Caitlin gave me a report to share with you. Leadership Institute is happening now through Friday. 23 participants in that, one director, one state committee staff, and a good split between NRCS and soil and water staff. The conservation skills workshop planning's underway. That'll be September 18th through 21st at the Auburn Holiday Inn. Next CDA meeting next week, July 25th, noon to 4, and July 26th, 8 to noon. That can be attended in person or virtually, and it's at the Seaway Resort Motel in Clayton, New York. CDA news for June is up on the website, available at the CDA Golf Tournament. Is available to register for. That's August 18th, 10 a.m. at Castlewood Golf Club. There's a registration form on the website as well. And register by August 4th. I hear it's a good time. And lastly, they're working on preparing for Empire Farm Days and the fair booth. Farm Days will be August 3rd through 5th in Pompeii, New York at the Palladino Farms. And then the booth at the fair will be open August 23rd through September 4th in the horticulture building at the fairgrounds. And that's it.
Thanks, Alice. DEC, anything you guys want to share?
I do not have anything share. I am just checking along, scoring those projects at this point.
Nothing from Sarah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. We already got Department of Health. How about Department of State?
Oh, hi, this is Stephanie. The only thing I would just report is that the CFA is open. Our program for LWRP has $16.3 million. One of the things that we're focusing on is watershed implementation projects through our watershed planning program. So that's available. It closes July 28th. So just to point that out. And then Kate, I don't know if you have anything else to share on your end.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And Paula from NRCS, you have anything for the group today?
NRCS would like of the local work.
Oh, your audio doesn't seem to be coming through. We can just barely hear you.
Oh, okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Hopefully I'm loud and clear. Okay, so NRCS wants to thank all the districts for their support with bringing the local working groups back. We'll be sending Bethany a list of all the meetings scheduled so that everybody can see that. Kind of bigger news, I swear, when I'm here acting, there's always something on my plate that Blake wants me to share. The state conservationist is in the process of declaring local disaster for Hamilton, Orange, Rockland, Oswego, and Ontario counties. These counties were the counties that experienced significant damage from the heavy prolonged rainfall last week, July 9th to July 11th. Once we get acknowledgement from headquarters that the declaration is approved, we will be able to open the EWP program and begin assessing damaged sites to determine their program eligibility. Please, if you're representing any of these counties, advise community leaders to contact their district conservationists to learn more about the program. And I can also, if you want, share a link in the chat here to a quick YouTube video that sort of explains the program. If that's, I find that with sponsors and with individuals, you can talk about the program and throw around a bunch of eligibility and this and that and something else. But until they can sit down and absorb it on their own time, sometimes they need that extra. So it's a 35-minute video that I'm sure you could fast forward that really talks about roles and responsibilities and what the program is about. So I was going to share it in the notes that I'll send you, Bethany, on all the stuff I just said, but also I can put it in the chat if anybody wants to share.
Yes, I would appreciate the link in the chat, Paula. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There isn't a time frame or anything on when that declaration might be approved.
So it usually doesn't take long after we submit. We're just making sure we have all the counties that basically are covering all the counties that we know of. I went through the different declarations of the governor, but haven't heard from, well, we have heard from some districts, but we haven't heard enough, I guess. And we just want to make sure we got our ears open for anything else. I know we were looking at significant rain events over the weekend, and I wanted to make sure that it's being called the July Storms event. So I wanted to make sure that everybody's included in the coverage that we think is going to need it. The link's in the chat right now. As far as when we get approval, it's basically a practice by practice with reference to funding. Oh, and it's a 60-day, 60 days after the declaration, the event. So 60 days after July 9th, sponsors have to put in applications for participation, which is just a letter to the state conservationists that said they have exhausted all other available funds to be able to participate, or available grants and funds to be able to participate. And we have a form letter that we would send to any sponsors so that they could put it on their letterhead. I think I heard a question.
Paula, this is Dale. Blake had asked me a few months ago about bringing staff out to look at the satellite lagoon cover and storage in Blair. And the offer still stands at his convenience if he ever wanted to do that and bring staff out. I know it's a busy time of year, but you're more than welcome whenever you want.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, you've had so many events out there, and I haven't been able to time it just right to get out there. And I look forward to it when we can.
Paula, did you list? Oh, sorry, Paula, did you list Essex County in the list of counties?
No, I did not. Do they need to be added?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Now, is it,
And I'll-
is,
Pete Hager from Clinton County. Is it, so the list that you have, is that based on the state of emergency or the state disaster emergency declaration that the governor did, or is it just folks, I mean, because Clinton County is on that list, but I don't think we were on your list.
Right. It's based on the reports we've been getting from DCs and what local events have happened around them. We're trying to get the ACs. I'm sorry, I was out last week for surgery, so I was sort of not available. So the ACs were supposed to contact all the DCs to see what, if any, like disaster, like erosion recovery work that people would need for response to the flooding.
Okay, thank you
So
all.
those are the counties I heard from. If you want me to add counties, we could put that in the chat, and I could. I have Livingston, Essex, Clinton.
Correct.
Okay.
Paula, and I'll just add, after those storms last week, the state committee regional staff was all in touch with the districts that they work with. So if you need any additional information, we might be able to give you some as well.
Sure. For each of the counties, we usually have to, or the different areas, we usually have to find like news stories and a full description of what occurred there. So that would go into the EDR or the emergency declaration report that Blake has to do. So for each of those counties, I was able to find news articles and the disaster declaration and why. But I will, if you have anything, feel free to email me.
Okay.
With that, one of the things that we're trying to reach is information on crop damage and things like that too. So feel free to send me that information as well. I think my email is gonna blow up here in a minute.
It might.
So yeah.
Thank you for that update, Paula. Anything else?
Oh, if I gave you the rest of it, of all the things I got going on, you don't want to be around for that.
Okay, then we'll put a pin in that for now then.
Say that again, sorry.
So we'll put a pin in your report for now.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so I will open up the floor to any conservation districts that may be on the line or in attendance at one of our meeting locations, or any members of the public that would wish to make a report.
Hi,
Hearing
this
none?
is Hi.
Oh, sorry.
So sorry. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
This is Nicole Angelo. I'm the state conservation specialist for Farm Service Agency. I just wanted to speak up, and I just wanted to thank the districts for all their efforts with our Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program across the state. They really help us out a lot, and I just wanted to thank them for all their efforts. I was really impressed with the round 29 figures you all showed. And I'm hoping that maybe some of those acres of riparian forest buffers that we could possibly help out with the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. That's my hope. We'll see if that could work out maybe in some of the districts. But also I wanted to let you all know that myself and Scott Fickbaum are going to start going to different districts and NRCS and FSA offices to see how we could better get conservation reserve and enhancement program rolling across the state. So I just wanted to make that report. And again, I just wanted to thank the district for everything that they do with us. It's really important to our program. So thank you.
Well, thank you for participating in the state committee meetings, Nicole. We really appreciate you calling in, and I think this is just another fine example of one of those partnerships that we were talking about earlier. And I think that's awesome that you and Scott are going to be, working out there. And certainly after awards, I guess, have been made with the Round 29 and non-point source projects. Would love to be able to share that information with you and work with Scott to move both programs forward.
That'd be great. I also wanted to mention that with all the flooding, we have 2 programs that will help folks, farms and private forest landowners, and that's the Emergency Conservation Program. And also the Emergency Forestry Restoration Program. And we don't need a declaration for those. I had spoken to most of the executive directors in the Farm Service Agency offices, especially in Clinton, Essex, and then Ontario and all the rest of the counties that Paula had mentioned. We do have a few counties that are going to move forward with that Emergency Conservation Program, which will help clean up sediments and debris and all the things once the water recedes from those flooded areas on farmland. We can't really work within the farmstead footprint, but we can clean up cropland and pasture land. So I just wanted to mention that if any of the folks in the districts know or hear of anybody that needs anything, please tell them to contact the local Farm Service Agencies offices. Thanks again for letting me join. I really appreciate being here. I did start at Soil and Water, so my roots run deep there. So thanks again.
Nicole, this is Brian Steinmuller, Assistant Director for Land and Water Resources here at Ag and Markets. I'd like to echo Bethany. Thank you for attending. And I just also wanted to mention a little bit more about the USDA Climate Smart Commodities Grant that we received here in New York State. Jennifer reported on it earlier as a Climate Resilient Farming Program Manager, but Nicole, maybe there's an opportunity for us to talk a little bit offline about that grant. And certainly there's a lot of data being requested, and
that's right.
There's a lot of opportunity for maybe you to help us to understand a little bit more in regards to participating in such a program, and we're trying to figure out the details of how it's going to integrate into our state program. We're currently working with an FSA state official from one of the Dakotas, and I always forget which one. But he's wonderful to work with, but there's a lot of lingo that he uses that we're not, fluent in. So
I completely understand. I have been working with a few other grant winners as well. So I would love to work with you. I'll help you any way I can with the lingo and any of the data that they're requesting, because from what I can see, it is quite extensive, and maybe sometimes the lingo is a bit cumbersome. So I would be happy to help you out, Brian. No problem.
Nicole, thank you so much. Great to virtually meet you today.
Yes, sir. You too. Thanks again, you all.
So Dale, I think that wraps up our, voting advisory staff district public comment agenda items.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Next meeting is proposed for September 19th. Voting members, what do you think? Erica?
I couldn't hear you, Dale.
Looks okay for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
can't
ways
plan
away.
for it. I'll tell you the day ahead.
Oh, there you go.
As we get closer, we'll have to update you, see if we do have to change it or not.
Exactly.
Usually meet in August, but there's no use breaking that in. So next meeting will be September 19th. Now, okay, Bethany, how do you want to move into executive session?
So, yep, as noted on the agenda, we will be moving into an executive session to discuss the state committee voting member appointments. So I believe we need a motion from the voting members to move into that executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion, second, please.
Second.
So Scott moved it. I guess Darren seconded it.
Okay, we do have a motion in a second. Vote of voting. Dave? Erica?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
And Darren?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna go to executive session. Now, give a few minutes, or how do you want to do this?
Yes, let's give it a few minutes for folks to, at this point, folks can hang up their phones, leave the room, and once we're in a good spot, then we can proceed.
So we'll be motioning back into regular session just to adjourn the state.
Yes. Correct. You can stop sharing. Yes.
It might not be necessary. Folks
Just
are
give it a
leaving.
minute, maybe.
I wonder how Caitlin's Warner Brook project survived.
See if she has minutes. Oh, come on, get your PJ, come over, done.
Okay, sounds good.